Have you ever imagined living in a place where no one knows about the internet, television, or even electricity? A world without cars, cell phones, or money? Well, that world exists, and it's hidden in remote corners of the planet. Today, you're going to discover the 10 most isolated tribes in the world. People who live as they did thousands of years ago, with no contact with the modern world. And believe it or not, some of these tribes are so mysterious that anyone who tries to approach them might never be seen again. But before we dive into this incredible journey, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here you'll always find content that opens your mind to realities few people know about. Ready? Let's go. Now let's travel to Western Papua, home to a people that seems straight out of a fantasy movie. The Korowai. They live on top of trees, up to 40 meters high, and it's not by chance. The region is full of dangers, including rival tribes and wild animals. So, to avoid attacks, they simply build their houses high up in the trees. And there's more. The Korowai were only discovered in the 1970s, which means very recently. Some researchers believe that even today, there are groups from this tribe who have never had contact with anyone from the outside world. We start with the Sinhalese, considered the most isolated and dangerous people on the planet. They live on North Sentinel Island, a small piece of land in the middle of the Indian Ocean. But here's the most impressive part. Anyone who tries to approach is attacked without mercy. That's exactly what happened to missionary John Allen Chau, who, in 2018, tried to enter the island to preach Christianity. He was killed by the natives, and his body was never recovered. The Indian government has banned all contact with the tribe, and scientists believe the Sinhalese have been living on the island for over 60,000 years. Just imagine a people who have never known any world beyond their own island. And speaking of secrets, deep in the Amazon rainforest, a mysterious tribe haunts the local river communities. They are known as the Mascopiro, and the scariest thing about them is that they appear and disappear without a trace. Hunters and local residents report sightings of this tribe, but no one can get close. That's because the Mascopiro do not want contact, and anyone who insists might not survive. Experts believe that this tribe chose to live in isolation after massacres committed by explorers in the past. So, any stranger who gets close is seen as a deadly threat. And the Amazon is home to many other isolated peoples. Still in the Brazilian rainforest, we find the Awaguaja, one of the most threatened tribes in the world. Unlike most indigenous peoples, they are nomadic, meaning they never stay in one place for long. They live exclusively off the forest, hunting, fishing, and gathering fruit. But the worst part is that their survival is at risk due to deforestation and land invasions. Many illegal loggers try to expel them, and there are reports of violent attacks against the indigenous people. If nothing is done, the Awaguaja could disappear forever. Another group fighting to survive is the Tagari Terminae in Ecuador. They are descendants of the Waorani and live inside the Yasuni National Park, one of the most biodiverse places in the world. This tribe is constantly on the move because their land is being invaded by oil companies. To avoid contact with outsiders, the Tagari Terminae frequently change locations, leaving behind very few traces of their existence. They are true masters of camouflage. The Yanomami are one of the best-known indigenous peoples of the Amazon. But did you know that some groups of this tribe have chosen to live in total isolation? These groups avoid all contact, living exclusively off hunting and gathering. But they are threatened by illegal mining, which contaminates rivers with mercury and brings deadly diseases to the indigenous people. Even so, they continue to resist and defend the forest. True warriors. If there's one place full of isolated tribes, it's the Vale do Javari in Brazil. This region is home to at least 16 indigenous groups that have never had contact with the outside world. Researchers use drones to monitor the area, and images reveal huts and clearings in the forest, proving that these peoples are still there. But they remain hidden. In Mexico, a people have been resisting for centuries, the Lacandons. They're direct descendants of Maya and live isolated in the jungle of Chiapas. The Lacandons maintain ancient traditions and refuse to adopt modern customs. They believe their connection with nature is sacred and fight to preserve their culture. It's as if a piece of the Mayan civilization is still alive. The Moxayatima are one of the most isolated groups within the Yanomami territory. They avoid any contact, and even other Yanomami know very little about them. The only proof of their existence is footprints, remains of campfires, and arrows left behind. They are a true enigma. And finally, in the Himalayas, we have the Toto, a small group living between Bhutan and India. They speak their own language and refuse to integrate with other populations. The Bhutanese government protects the tribe, but few people know what really happens inside the Toto villages. Amazing, right? The way these tribes survive is simply fascinating. Now, tell me, if you could visit one of these tribes, which one would you choose? And if you enjoyed this video,